All right, so I'm going to demonstrate uploading a large image to the blockchain using MoneyButton. So not just MoneyButton, it's MoneyButton and BitGo.media. So that BitGo.media really has the actual the ability to break up a file into parts and then generate a bunch of money buttons. MoneyButton is what's actually used to upload the file itself. MoneyButton writes the data. BitGo.media basically breaks the file up into pieces and then generates the money buttons and then also renders the data. So it's actually both MoneyButton and BitGo.media are working together on this. So anyway, I'm looking at my wallet here on moneybutton.com. I'm logged in. I have more money than the average person here. That's just because I felt like putting a lot of money in there. You probably don't have that much. You do need enough money to be able to upload a file, in fact, slightly more. So I keep plenty of money in here basically to guarantee that I never run out of money. So I can do all sorts of interesting things by having a large balance, but you don't need that much money. It depends on the size of the file that you're uploading. So let me show you, first of all, some math that you can do to start figuring things out here. So in this case, I have $4,208. It costs about 7 cents for a 100 kilobytes. So let's run some numbers here. So with $4,208 times, let's see here, times here, $4,208 times 100 tells me how many cents I have. So if I divide that by about 7 cents, this tells me how many 100 kilobytes I can upload. So if I want that in megabytes, then basically I need to divide that by 10. And if I did that correctly, so about 6,000 megabytes. So I could upload 6 gigabytes if I wanted to with this large balance. And that would spend my entire balance. So let me run the numbers again just because I want to double check my own math here and see if I did this correctly. So $4,208. If I multiply that by 100, I get cents. If I divide that by 7, it's about 7 cents for 100 kilobyte op return. So this should tell me how many 100 kilobyte op returns I have. That's 60,000. But actually, 1 megabyte is 10 100 kilobytes. So the number of megabytes is about 1/10 of that. So again, I get the same number. Okay, so I think I did the math on that correctly. Now let's do it differently because I'm not gonna upload 6 gigabytes of data to the blockchain here, and I'm not gonna spend $4,000 for no reason. Let's do this differently, and I've got an image here. Let me open it up, and I'll drag it over here. So this is just the next image that I want to upload to the blockchain, and here it is here. And whoops, let me fix that. Okay, so let me try and figure out how big this image is. Can I look at that here in the settings here? Preferences, settings. I'm not sure how to look it up in this particular viewer here. Let me go back to that. Okay, I'm reading on my Finder here, and it's 4.9 megabytes. So that's about 5 megabytes. So it's a fairly large, resolution photograph here. So 5 megabytes. So let's try and figure out how much money I need to upload that. So it's about in fact, I'll do this differently. So that file is 5 megabytes. Let's actually compute this slightly differently. We know that we can upload 100 kilobytes in an op return. Slightly less than 100 kilobytes, but let's round it up to 100 kilobytes. We also know that the cost is about 1 Satoshi per byte. Slightly more than that, but approximately so. So that means for 100 kilobytes, 100,000 is the number of Satoshis that it's going to cost me. So if I divide that by, let's see here, so 100,000 Satoshis divided by 100 million gives me how many BSV it is. And the current price of BSV is something like 65 or so US dollars. So that comes out to be about, let's see here, so 6.5 cents, and that rounds up to about 7 cents per 100 kilobytes. Now, if I have 5 megabytes, so then I want, let's see, so 5 megabytes. So that would be, how many 100 kilobytes is that? Well, it's 5 megabytes. So times 10 tells me how many 100 kilobytes it is. So it's about 50 of them. So basically, I'm going to have to swipe money button about 50 times times 7 cents. So that's 350 cents divided by 100 tells me how many dollars is. So it's about $3.5. So in order to upload this photo, I'm going to need approximately $3.5 that I'm going to be paying to the miners in transaction fees. Okay, so all that just gives us an idea of how much this is actually going to cost me to upload this photo, 3.5 USD. I've got plenty of money here. Now I'm going to use a new tool that we created to facilitate large file uploads. We already had this tool, but we made an important improvement to it recently, which is you can now specify how many UTXOs you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a huge number of UTXOs. Now, before I get started here, notice that it gives you a little message here that basically says only split if you've already confirmed your balance. If the button is enabled, that means my balance is fully confirmed. And I don't want to go into the technical details here quite yet. Maybe I'll discuss it at the end of the video, but you want to make sure that all of your UTXOs are confirmed before you do this. So what I want to do is I want to generate a huge number of UTXOs, because the way Money Button works is it's going to spend them in chronological order. So if I have a large number of UTXOs that are already confirmed and that have enough money to spend, to spend on the op return data, I won't run into the 25 unconfirmed transaction chain limit, because I'll be spending, each time I swipe the button, it's going to be spending a different confirmed UTXO. Okay? So let me do it right now. I'm going to generate 250 UTXOs, which is the maximum number that we allow, because it actually generates a very large transaction. And this is going to spend my entire balance, and it's actually going to cost $2 cents in transaction fees just to create this epically large transaction that I'm about to create. And I actually already have a large number of UTXOs, so I'm not even really sure what's going to happen, because it's going to actually sign something like 250 existing UTXOs, which actually is a lot. So let's just see what happens. I'm actually not sure. It might fail. I think it'll just take a really long time is what's supposed to happen. So let's just wait. So what it's doing right now is it's actually signing 250 inputs or so. And I don't really know how long this is going to take, but it'll probably take several seconds at least. So ... signing. I don't want to do anything weird like look at it, because I don't want to risk breaking it. People don't normally have this many UTXOs. So anyway, ... waiting. It's signing. It's, if I hear, maybe I can open up a different window and look at like my CPU usage while that's going on here, because it ought to be using up one of my, basically whatever thread. Okay, there we go, it worked. Okay, well I didn't have a chance to show you, but it took a while, because it literally was just signing transactions or signing inputs the whole time. Okay, let's see here. Now that worked, now what I want to do is, your money was split, wait until expire for use and blah, blah, blah. If you let this page open, it will let you know when your money gets confirmed. Okay, so let's just wait. So now, unfortunately, what I'm going to have to do is just sit here and wait for that to confirm. And now I guess I have a chance to explain some of the technical background here while this is confirming. Okay, so why do you have to do all this stuff? So ideally what would happen is, if you want to upload a file to the blockchain, basically the developer creates an app that it converts the file into some type of chunk of data that goes inside of an op return in a transaction. And ideally what would happen is you would have like one giant op return where you'd put the entire file in one op return. Unfortunately, although Bitcoin SV has a very large op return size, it is not unlimited. And so you can't actually put giant files in there, like my 4.9 megabyte image will not actually fit inside of a single op return. So what BitGo.media did is create a protocol. I actually don't remember who created it. It might have been Unwriter that created the protocol. B was created by Unwriter. And I don't know who created the CAT protocol. It might have been BitGo.media, or it might have been Unwriter. But it's a way of combining a number of different op returns into one. So you have to broadcast different transactions that go on the blockchain. And when you have you break up your file into a number of different 100 kilobyte chunks, and if your file is, let's see, in the case of my image here is 4.9 megabytes, that would be broken up into 49 or so 100 kilobyte chunks. And so then you put those all on the blockchain one at a time, and then you merge them with a transaction that links all of them. And so that's the idea of what we're doing here. We do this for the reason that we're limited to 100 kilobytes per op return. The other unfortunate problem that you encounter when you do this, that became an issue when people started doing this, is you run into the 25 unconfirmed transaction chain limit. And there's just a limit in the node software that you can't broadcast more than 25 unconfirmed transactions in a row. And that's an issue, because if you need to upload 49 in a row, you can't have a single UTXO, because that'll use more than 25 of them. In fact, actually the limit is worse than that, because it's not just 25 in a row, there's also a size value as well. So if the size of your unconfirmed chain is too big, that also breaches the limit. And so what would end up happening is people would swipe money button and it would just break. If you swiped enough times, it would start throwing an error. The error wasn't actually coming from inside money button. The error was coming from the node software, because you're spending your own unconfirmed transactions in a chain. And you would run into one or more of these limits inside the node software. So in case people are wondering, the node developers are very much aware of this. There are scaling reasons why they haven't fixed this yet. The goal is you should be able to ultimately broadcast an arbitrary number of unconfirmed transactions in a chain. But there is just a poor scaling property of the software that has something to do with child pays for parent, where basically if you try to broadcast a chain, it actually has to look up something complicated for each transaction up the chain and say something like, well, if I create a transaction and it has low fees, I can then create a new transaction chained off of that one that pays more fees and pay for the parent, so to speak, and this is called child pays for parent. And the algorithm that does this evidently just scales poorly, so that if you have a chain of transactions that's very long, it starts going very slow. So I don't know what the scaling property is, but imagine it's n squared or something like that. Then it just starts going slower and slower and slower inside the node software, and so that becomes a DOS attack vector. And so they can't just raise the limit, because that introduces a DOS attack vector. It would mean that somebody could attack the network and start slowing down all the nodes by doing something like this. So they have to rewrite the software inside and get rid of this limit before they allow us to broadcast large transaction chains. So anyway, so that's the limit there. And so that's why it exists, and that's why people keep getting this speed limit error. And as we wait for this to confirm, let me just go try to find our blog post here where we have this. So on blog.moneybutton.com, we have somewhere in here, we have here, right here. Raising the speed limit of unconfirmed transactions. And this kind of explains some of it, why this error exists. I think I probably just explained more in this video than we had previously explained in this blog post. But in any case, you get the idea. So the error is not really coming from MoneyButton. It's coming from the node software, and they're doing everything they can to get rid of it. And that will just take some time, though. It's not trivial. Okay, so anyway, in the meantime, what that means is we basically have to do these workarounds. So we had a tool that would split your UTXOs 10 times, but basically we would then start running into these other limits where it's actually not simply a 25 unconfirmed transaction chain limit, it's also a size limit. And so sometimes you actually need a huge number of UTXOs. 10 wasn't good enough, so we needed to make it so that you could type in any value, and that's why I'm doing 250 now, because I know that 250 is going to be more than adequate. And that's actually going to work. Actually, let me go here and look at my, this is kind of interesting while we're waiting. I can look at my my self-pay transaction here and see that I paid $4,000 to myself 250 times, and there it is. So we're looking at it there. I don't know what this is. Why does it show me the same one there twice? I'm not sure what that is, actually. It's like one of them might have timed out, actually, and so it showed them twice. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why that's showing it to me again. Because it looks like the same one twice. I don't know what that is. But anyway, we'll just wait here, and we got to wait an average of 10 minutes for a block to confirm. So it's been 13 minutes since the last block, and that means that, well, that tells us nothing about how long it's going to take for the next one. The next one could be, well, on average, it's 10 minutes. So if we're lucky, it's going to be less than that. If we're unlucky, it's going to be more than that. And no matter how long we wait, it is still an average of 10 minutes. So it seems like we've been waiting for a while, and guess what? That doesn't mean that it's any less than 10 minutes from now. The average from any moment is still 10 minutes from now. That's just how the probabilities work. Okay, wait. I think we might have just gotten lucky. It says there was a block 30 seconds ago. So if we're lucky here, okay, wait a second here. Let me look at my, here, oh, it says we're confirmed. Okay, perfect. Okay, well, we actually got kind of lucky there. That's perfect for this video that happened relatively quickly. Okay, you can now do lots of transactions without reaching network limits. You may have to repeat this process if you deposit or receive more money into your account. Now, I'm not going to have to do that because I did 250 UTXOs, which means I'm just not going to have a problem. Okay, so now that I have 250 UTXOs and they are confirmed, actually it's going to be interesting here. Well, whatever. I was going to confirm it myself and look at the block score, but let's not bother with that. Now I'm going to just refresh Bico.media here, and I'm going to drag my photo in here, and it's going to ask me, is my content legal? Yes, it is. I'm not going to upload anything illegal, and yes, I realize that it's permanently on the blockchain. I want my photo on the blockchain permanently. We're not like Twitter where we upload low-quality content. This is a beautiful photo. And the blockchain has only high-quality content that's worth paying for. I'm actually paying $3.50 just to put this on the blockchain. Okay, so now I've got all my money buttons here. So let's begin doing it. Look at all those beautiful money buttons. Swipe. I'm not going to try to entertain you while I swipe all these buttons. I'm not going to talk. So you see those buttons, like when it draws a new button, it's like, and it draws it on the screen for the first time, it resizes from larger to thinner. And so each new button, as it shows up there, it animates. So you might be wondering, why don't we make it so that you can just swipe one time? And that's easier said than done, because the way it should work is you should just be able to put large data in a single op return, and then there wouldn't be a problem, and you could just swipe one time. We don't really want to completely re-architect the inside of Money button to do multiple different transactions in a single swipe. So hopefully over time that 100 kilobyte limit will just be raised. And imagine if it were 10 megabytes, then you could just do a single swipe and there wouldn't be a problem. So hopefully that will be raised over time. The other thing we can do is an idea called automatic money button, where you'll be able to, the app will ask for permission to swipe on your behalf. And then it can just swipe the button over and over again. That'll actually be easier for us to implement than doing multiple transactions inside the button, because we basically just add an API to it, and then we don't have to completely re-architect the button. The web page then will be able to automatically swipe for you, so you don't have to manually swipe over and over and over again in this situation. But in any case, we don't have either of those features for right now. So for right now, if you want to put data on the blockchain, you just have to swipe the button 100 kilobytes at a time, 7 cents, 7 cents, 7 cents. until you've put every single piece of data on the blockchain and then concatenated them together. So notice how I've done quite a lot. Like I've done more than 25, right? Like I'm now at number 43 here. So I definitely have done more than the 25 unconfirmed transaction chain limit. And I haven't encountered any errors. That's because I'm just spending all of my confirmed UTXOs. So each single one of these is spending an already confirmed UTXO. So that's why I'm not encountering any errors. There is no chain, right? There's no unconfirmed chain. So each one of these is spending an already confirmed UTXO. That's why you do it this way. Okay, so finally I've done all 49. Now I do this one. Now what will happen here is I've now created every single one of them, and I'm going to open this up. It probably won't work right away. Well, it looks like we might be lucky. It might be working actually. So what sometimes happens is it won't work immediately because it actually takes a little while for each one of those little pieces to actually propagate through the network. So if it doesn't work immediately, that doesn't mean that it won't work shortly. So far, every single one that I've tried, if it doesn't work right away, it normally works like 1 or 2 minutes later. So this one is loading kind of slow here. I don't know how the architecture of Bico.media works, but the fact that it hasn't yet said not found, I think is a good sign. So let's just see if it works. Meanwhile, let me look at the block situation here and see. Okay, so that one's now 4 minutes old. Well, this actually hasn't happened to me before. Let's see what is the status of this transaction here. Let me look at this on what's on chain. And does what's on chain see this transaction? Okay, it doesn't, but that's actually normal because it's just not always the case that the transactions propagate immediately. So I don't necessarily expect what's on chain to actually see it right away. Nor do I necessarily see Bico.media to see it. Okay, well, Bico.media seems to just have a problem right now. That's poor luck. So I'll just keep refreshing until it works. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. So, well, that's it. So there's my photo on the blockchain. So this is a 4.9 megabyte photo that I just paid $3.50 to put on the blockchain. No one can ever remove my photo. And see if you can know where in the world this is. What does that look like? Where is this place? This reminds me of Greece, but it's not Greece. It's definitely not Greece. Okay, well that's it. So now the lesson here is, the point that I'm trying to make in creating this video here is so that you understand how to use this tool, moneybutton.com/UTXO. If you're about to upload a large file to the blockchain, unfortunately, like for all these technical reasons that I'm trying to explain, the user experience is not very good yet. And we are very much aware of all the problems with the user experience, and it's just not trivial to solve any of these things. But we're working on it, and so are the node developers, and I'm sure eventually it's just going to be a single swipe to upload a large file. But for now, if you're uploading anything larger than 100 kilobytes, it's a slightly cumbersome user experience. But our new tool here makes it much, much, much better. Basically, if you actually use this correctly, you won't get an error. It will work. So if you basically need to figure out how many UTXOs you need and make sure that each one has enough money in there, and then create them and wait for that to confirm, and then you will be able to upload a large file. So using this tool, it will work and you will not get an error if you do it correctly. And then hopefully over time, we're able to resolve all of these issues and make it so that you don't have to understand or know about any of this stuff. But until we do that, here's the tool, and you can use this, and you can raise your speed limit, and be able to upload large files. And also, it's about raised speed limit here, because you can also do other things too, like the video games and all those types of things. You can do that using this tool as well. So this is a general tool for splitting your two UTXOs all the way up to about 250. We don't let you do more than 250 just because if you create a very, very, very large number, you start to have all sorts of other issues. And so 250 is adequate basically to be able to upload most large files or play video games or anything of that sort. So, all right, so that's it for this video, and please check out this tool and use bitgo.media for uploading multi-part files. And between these two tools right now, it's pretty easy to upload files to the blockchain. And yeah, have fun uploading images and video and documents and whatever else you want to the blockchain.